forward. We have our first speaker who is queued up. He is ready. We're going to make him a co-host so that he can turn his camera on, and we're going to go off camera so that we can introduce him. Coming to the stage first, our first speaker of the day, Mr. Darius Wise. Are you there? There he is. All right, we are excited to hear what you have to say. Let me introduce him again. Is Darius the Professor Wise, not just Darius Wise, Darius the Professor Wise, and he is coming to you on the topic, the power of your thoughts, how to think yourself into your ideal situation. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Cheryl, Dr. Cheryl Wood. I truly appreciate the introduction and the opportunity to be here. Good morning, everyone. I am so excited to be able to share with you and be a part of this amazing You Are Enough conference. Dr. Cheryl Wood has already put us in a mind state of that we are better than we're acting. And I just want to step in and really kind of pick up from where she left off. But just so that you know, my name is Darius, the Professor Wise, the thought provoker. I consider myself a thought provoker because my mission in life is just to get you to think and get you to think a little differently than you have before. And I am here today. I want to share with you this idea, right? This idea, this concept of you can think yourself into your ideal situation, that you have the ability, that you have the power just with your thoughts to find yourself in the situation that you might want to be in. Now, 20 years ago, graduating from college, I found myself in a situation where I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life. I came out of college 2 months later after graduating. I already had a child. I didn't have a job. I didn't know what I was going to do with myself, but I knew deep down inside that there was something else that I was supposed to do. There was something great that I was supposed to do. I always felt different, but I didn't know what that was. And during that process, the next couple of years, I found myself in very similar situations, right? I going from one situation to the next, and they all seemed to be pretty much the same. And they were very heartbreaking situations, really, because I kept finding myself not having the job that I wanted to have, not having enough money to do the things that I wanted to do, not being in a situation where I had meaningful, powerful relationships. And I just kept finding myself going from one situation to the next situation where it wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. Have you ever been there? Have you ever found and look back over your life and say, why do I keep going into the same type of situations over and over and over again? And I had to sit back and start to think about this. And I started to really become intrigued about how can I be a great speaker, because I fell in love with great orators. And a mentor of mine early on in life, and after I graduated from college, I had a mentor that really made me start listening to, and I'm going to date myself here, guys, but my mentor, he made me start listening to these cassette tapes. So I was listening to these cassette tapes, and it's so amazing to be a part of this conference right here, because one of the first people that I started listening to was a gentleman by the name of Les Brown. And he forced me to listen to these tapes, and I didn't want to listen to these tapes. I was in my 20s. I was young. I was out of college, and I wanted to listen to music in my car. I didn't want to listen to somebody speaking to me in my car. No, I didn't. And the problem was, whenever I would see my mentor again, he would question me about what was on those tapes. And I was complaining about my life. I didn't like where it was going. I kept going and getting into these same situations over and over again. And he said, did you listen to the tape? And I said, no. And he said, well, I can't do anything for you until you do something for yourself. So I started listening to the tapes. I fell in love with these great orators. I fell in love with people like Les Brown. And I started to change my thinking. I started to change how I saw things. So what happened was I realized that it wasn't just when it's a good situation was I thinking myself into my ideal situation. I had been thinking myself into every situation that I was in. So I'm here to tell you right now that whatever situation that you're in right now, if it's the one that you have desired and been dreaming about all your life, you have thought yourself into that situation. If it's not, if it's one that you don't want to be in, I'm here to tell you that you have thought yourself into that situation as well. Because see, I learned this. The mind has two parts. And let me explain this to you. Let me break this down. Forget all the medical jargon. Forget all of the neuroscience and everything about how the brain works and the mind works. The mind has two parts. There's the thinker, and then there's the prover. See, the thinker thinks, and then the prover proves. The thinker thinks, and the prover proves. So whatever the thinker thinks, it is the job of the prover to prove that the thinker is right. See, Confucius puts it this way. Confucius said this. He said, he or she, he said he, but he or she that believes that he can, and he or she who believes that he can't are both usually right. See, whatever you think, you are right. But I wanted you to understand the concept of the thinker and the prover, because this is what got me on track to changing how I was thinking and ultimately changing the situations that I found myself in. See, I had a thought, and that thought was I couldn't get a job that paid me $100,000 a year. I had that thought early on, that I couldn't find a job who was going to pay me $100,000 a year. I had this thought. So when I had that thought, the prover said, okay, you have given me my assignment. I must prove that that is true. So all of these things kept happening in my life to prove that I was not worthy of someone paying me $100,000 a year. So how did I do that? I started to self-sabotage. I started to do things on the job that weren't like someone who should be making $100,000 a year. I said that I wanted to write a book, but I didn't believe that I could be an author. And see, all of these things that we're doing on a daily basis, we are thinking ourselves into the situations. Let me give you another breakdown of how this works in life. There's a process of thinking. And this thought process is made up of several steps. So first is we have a thought. And here's what happens. We have this thought. It'd be, I'm gonna write a book, I'm gonna be an author, I am going to, be a great speaker, I'm gonna be a doctor, I'm gonna be a lawyer, whatever that thought is. We have a thought and we attach that thought to emotions, to an emotion. So now when we attach that thought to an emotion in neuroscience, what happens, there's a saying in neuroscience that, neurons that fire together wire together. So we have a thought that fires a neuron. We attach it to an emotion. We have an emotion that fires another neuron. So now these two wire together. So now we have this thought, we have this emotion that's tied to this thought. And now, because we have this emotion and this thought tied together, we now start to create beliefs. We create these beliefs. And from these beliefs, we now create behaviors and actions. And when we start to take these certain actions based on these beliefs that we have, then we get the outcomes in our life. So I'm here to tell you that every situation that you found yourself in, you have thought yourself into that situation. Because you have a thought, you attach an emotion, after that emotion, you create a belief, and those beliefs are now what dictate the actions and the behaviors that you have, which ultimately give you the results that you have in your life. And see, I know. A lot of you will say that it's the events that have happened in your life. You lost a loved one, or you lost your job, or any of these things that happen. But I'm here to tell you also that it's not just the events that has caused the outcomes that you've had in your life. It is how you have responded to those events. And see, here's the thing that's big, and it may not, some of you may think it's wordplay, but it's not just that you have responded, because most of us are not responding. We're reacting. So an event happens in your life and you react. You react. That doesn't take thinking, ladies and gentlemen. A reaction doesn't take thinking. A reaction says, go back to what may have happened in my past that is similar to what's happening now and do the same thing. So if it wasn't giving you the results that you wanted in the past, so remember I said I kept finding myself in the same situations. It's because I had to stop reacting and start responding. Take time to think about what it is that I wanted. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to share this with you before we go. There's the thinker and the prover. And also understand and remember this, the most important conversation that you are ever going to have is the conversation you have with yourself. What are you telling yourself? What are you saying to yourself? What beliefs are you creating because of the thoughts that you're having? You are enough, ladies and gentlemen. You can think yourself into your ideal situation. It is up to you. And it's not about what somebody else thinks. It's not about what else happens to you. It's about your thoughts, what you believe about you, and what you believe you can accomplish. So guys, I want to thank you for your time and attention. It's been a pleasure to kick this thing off and work with Dr. Cheryl Wood. You are enough. You are enough. Understand the thinker and the prover. That way you will only think thoughts that you want to prove. I am Darius, the Professor Wise, the thought provoker. Be phenomenal, ladies and gentlemen.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Darius, the Professor Wise. Listen, you said one of my favorite quotes. Henry Ford says is, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Right?
Yes. Yes.
So
yes.
Thank you so much. This has been amazing. So listen, go over to the Facebook group and you should see a post that has, Darius Wise topic and his name. Post under that. Make sure you share your takeaways. And Darius, you go over there and connect with the people.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Listen, we are just getting started. I mean, this has been amazing, just getting started. And we are, coming down the stretch to the next speaker. Listen, if you don't have your notepad, paper, like we're not waiting for you, okay? We are not waiting for you. You are going to have to get on board, come on down, because, it's epic. It's amazing and it's transformational. And you have to understand the power of your thoughts. I mean, it's so good. Let me stop.
That was so juicy. That was so juicy, Darius. Darius the man. Can y'all just type that in the chat? You the man. And go ahead and type it just like that. You the man. He ain't the man. He the man. DA, y'all. Type it in the chat. Give him some hand claps. Give him snaps. Let him know you loved his presentation because it was powerful. Everything starts in the mind. And if you don't know that, you need to go over and visit Darius. How do they connect with you, Darius, again?
You can find me at IamDariusWise.com, and on social media, it's at Darius A. Wise on all platforms.
And what I love about Darius is that he lives, breathes, eats, and sleeps this whole thing called what you think and your thoughts that impact your beliefs and your behaviors and your patterns. Like, this stuff is real.